In Greek mythological cosmology, Uranus is identified as a primordial deity representing the sky. The earliest literary account describing Uranus appears in the work of the poet Hesiod, particularly in the poem Theogony, composed around the 8th to 7th century BCE. According to this account, the universe initially consisted of several primordial entities, including Chaos, Gaia, Tartarus, and Eros. Gaia, representing the Earth, generated Uranus without external union, producing the sky as a covering structure that surrounded and enclosed the terrestrial surface. In this cosmological model, Uranus functioned as both a physical element of the universe and a divine figure representing the celestial dome. The relationship between Gaia and Uranus established the first generational structure in the mythological genealogy of Greek deities. Uranus became both consort and offspring of Gaia, and their union produced multiple subsequent generations of divine beings. These offspring included the Titans, the Cyclops, and the Hecatoncheires. Through this genealogy, Uranus served as an early structural figure within the mythological hierarchy that eventually produced the Olympian pantheon. The origin narrative presents Uranus not as a creator in the later philosophical sense, but as a generative element within an early mythological explanation of cosmic structure and lineage. Following his emergence and union with Gaia, Uranus assumed a dominant position within the mythological framework of the early cosmos. As the embodiment of the sky, Uranus formed a constant physical and symbolic enclosure over Gaia. The children produced by their union included 12 Titans, commonly listed as Oceanus, Coeus, Crius, Hyperion, Iapetus, Theia, Rhea, Themis, Mnemosyne, Phoebe, Tethys, and Cronus. The Cyclops and the Hecatoncheires were also generated as part of the same lineage. According to Hesiod's account, Uranus displayed hostility towards several of these offspring immediately after their birth. The myth describes Uranus concealing the Cyclops and Hecatoncheires within Gaia, preventing them from entering the external world. This act produced tension within the mythological narrative because Gaia experienced continual pressure and confinement due to the presence of the imprisoned offspring. The decision attributed to Uranus reflects an early stage of conflict within the genealogical succession of divine beings. In mythological interpretation, the concealment of these offspring has been described by scholars as a symbolic representation of cosmic containment or suppression of potential forces within the early mythological universe. Regardless of interpretation, the narrative establishes Uranus as an authority figure whose actions directly shaped the conditions of the next generational conflict. The conflicts between Uranus and Gaia developed as a consequence of the continued imprisonment of several of their children. The narrative in the Theogony describes Gaia experiencing sustained distress due to the confinement imposed by Uranus. In response, Gaia constructed a plan intended to remove Uranus from his position of authority. She produced a sickle made from adamant and presented the plan to her Titan children, requesting assistance in executing the removal of Uranus. Most of the Titans did not respond to the proposal, but Cronus accepted the role assigned by Gaia. The plan involved ambushing Uranus during one of his regular descents to unite with Gaia at night. This stage of the myth establishes the transition from the initial cosmic generation to a conflict-driven succession of rulers. The cooperation between Gaia and Cronus represents the first organized attempt within Greek mythological genealogy to overthrow a ruling deity. The conspiracy demonstrates a structural pattern present in later mythological narratives, in which generational succession occurs through conflict between parent and offspring. In this stage, Uranus continued to function as the dominant sky deity while remaining unaware of the plan prepared by Gaia and Cronus. The removal of Uranus occurred when Cronus executed the plan organized by Gaia. According to the narrative preserved in the Theogony, Uranus descended during the night and spread himself over Gaia, at which point Cronus emerged from concealment and used the adamant sickle to sever Uranus's genitals. This action ended Uranus's control over the cosmos and represented the symbolic separation of sky and earth. Following the act, Cronus cast the severed genitals into the sea. From the foam produced in the water emerged the goddess Aphrodite, according to Hesiod's account. Additional beings were also said to originate from the blood of Uranus when it fell upon the earth, including the Erinyes, the giants, and the Meliae. The overthrow resulted in the transfer of cosmic authority from Uranus to Cronus and the Titan generation. In mythological analysis, this episode is interpreted as a foundational moment in the structure of divine succession within Greek mythology. The separation of sky and earth also functions as a cosmological explanation for the physical division between the celestial and terrestrial domains. Following his removal from power, Uranus no longer functioned as the active ruler within the mythological hierarchy. However, the narrative indicates that Uranus delivered a prophecy concerning the future fate of Cronus. According to the tradition recorded in Hesiod's work, Uranus predicted that Cronus would eventually be overthrown by one of his own children. This statement introduced a recurring motif in Greek mythological narratives, the cyclical pattern of generational displacement. The prophecy influenced Cronus's subsequent behavior, leading him to consume his offspring in an attempt to prevent the predicted overthrow. Despite these measures, the prophecy ultimately contributed to the conditions that allowed the rise of Zeus, who later defeated Cronus and the Titans during the Titanomachy. In this way, Uranus's final role in the mythological narrative involved establishing the prophetic framework that continued to shape divine succession beyond his own reign. Within Greek mythological tradition, Uranus occupies a foundational position in the genealogy of divine beings. As a primordial sky deity and progenitor of the Titans, Cyclopes, and Hecatonchires, Uranus represents the earliest structured stage of cosmic organization following the initial emergence of primordial entities such as Chaos and Gaia. Although his rule ended through the actions of Cronus, the mythological narrative places Uranus at the beginning of a sequence of generational transitions that eventually produced the Olympian order. The pattern established in the overthrow of Uranus reappears in later mythological conflicts, including the overthrow of Cronus by Zeus. In historical and literary analysis, Uranus is interpreted as an early symbolic representation of the sky within the cosmological framework of ancient Greek thought. His narrative function serves primarily as a genealogical starting point, rather than a continuing participant in later mythological events. Through the accounts preserved in Hesiod's Theogony and later classical sources, Uranus remains recognized as a primordial figure whose rise and downfall illustrate the structural pattern of succession that defines much of Greek mythological tradition.